secondary member, a safety or a corner, 13 times in that game. Leading up into that game, he only blitzed them 13 times, leading combined in all the games. So I think what he understood was how soft the offensive line was going to be, and to allow another rusher to come in and force Kyle Rudolph and the running backs to block would win in their favor. And I think offensively, what we're going to have to see for the Philadelphia Eagles, they're going to have to run the football a little bit better. I expect Ryan Matthews to get a little better. You're expecting Darren Sproles to be more of that explosive guy. They're being that third down back and take pressure off of Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, leading up into this particular point, has been doing a fairly decent job. He's a rookie. We failed to realize that at times. But I think as a total football team, you give a lot of credit to Doug Peterson. Now, as far as the Minnesota Vikings are concerned, they need to shore up that offensive line. Defensively, they're fine. Special teams, they're fine. They made a little blunder in the game last night. But I look at the Minnesota Vikings, I say, you don't have a mobile quarterback, so you're going to have to find a way to keep that cup easy for him to sit back and dissect defenses.
Let me break this down and answer the question directly. I'm not really convinced right now about the Philadelphia Eagles when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Let me just put it out there. The defense is big time.
Yes.
Schwartz is doing a phenomenal job. But Carson Wentz has had relatively pedestrian performances on the offensive side of the ball. B, and more importantly, I still have some residue from that Redskins game when you gave up 230 yards rushing to the Redskins, particularly Matt Jones. When we talk about the Eagles in comparison to the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East, you can't think about the Dallas Cowboys in any kind of affectionate or just a confidence factor. You can't look at them in that fashion without thinking about two things: their offensive line and Ezekiel Elliott. And we ain't even taking into account Alfred Morris and Darren McFadden once he comes back. The reason I bring those names up is because they are literally a team, if they chose to do so, who could run the ball 70% of the time, and no one would blink. Why? Because that offensive line is so massive, so effective, so potent that it could literally beat you up and wear you down. And so when I think about the Eagles pertaining to what I saw yesterday and looking at it this season, Max, I think of it from the perspective of, okay, you can play. You definitely deserve to be respected. Doug Peterson is a clear upgrade from Chip Kelly. No doubt about it. And Schwartz is big time as a defense coordinator. No business being a head coach this time. I mean, let him wait a couple of years and then get another head coaching job. But as a defensive coordinator, there's nothing to question here. But offensively, when I look at the Philadelphia Eagles, I got questions about how much points you could put up, because really Jordan Matthews is your only reliable option with Carson Wentz. And on the defensive side of the ball, I don't give a damn that the Vikings, that you shut down the Vikings. I'm sorry, was Adrian Peterson there yesterday? I don't think he was there yesterday. I think he's been injured. I think he's been out. I think one of the greatest runners in the history of the NFL has been out. He did not play. So because of that, I'm not caught up in it. I'm still concerned. I wish I could say differently, because I would love for the Eagles to be better than the Cowboys, but I'm not sure.
First of all, the question is, are they a threat to the Cowboys in the NFC East? The NFC East ain't the Cowboys right now. I mean, at the moment, because they have the best record at the moment by a single game right now. But you look at the NFC East, it's wide open. There's nothing to indicate, other than that one game, that they're the best team. It's week 7. You don't know who the best team in the division, where the worst record, the Giants and Washington, are 4-3, and the best is 5-1. You don't know who the best team really is. But if you want to look at some stuff, well, how about point differential? Because that's, in fact, the stuff that goes into wins and losses. The Eagles have the best point differential in the NFC East, significantly better than the Cowboys. In fact, at plus 68, they're one off the pace for the entire NFL, which is the Patriots. Their point differential is one less than the Patriots, who people every week, can they run the table? Or is there going to be a threat to the Patriots in this league? The Eagles have an excellent defense that we just saw in Peterson and Schwartz. As you pointed out, Donovan, it's what makes the Patriots so good? It's that they're a different team from week to week, depending on what they need to do. So you said they analyzed the Vikings, soft offensive line, let's bring some stuff. And it works. They're doing a really good job defensively, and which is why, in terms of defensive numbers, they're like a point or two off the league leader. I mean, they're right there in terms of points allowed. And the offense is middle of the pack. The Eagles, if anything, you look at the NFC East and you say, who's the class of the division? You might say at this moment, the Eagles. Are they a threat to the Cowboys? Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. You know what I look at, in a sense, and we have to understand having a rookie quarterback, you have a strong defense, that can take you very far. Remember, my rookie year stepping in, our defense with Jim Johnson, a defensive coordinator who, God rest his soul, was the best defensive coordinator that the Philadelphia Eagles have had to me besides Buddy Ryan. But I look at it in a sense for what we're seeing right now. They're taking the pressure off of Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is a guy who hasn't turned the football over before last night's game, but he hasn't turned the football over a lot. So when you're in a position like that with a rookie quarterback, your defense can win the game. Now, I just want everyone else to step up. I need the Huffs to step up, the Brian Matthews, the Darren Sproles, the Zach Ertz to step up.
Are they capable?
Yep, they're capable of doing it.
Are you sure?
I look at what Dallas is doing. Dallas hasn't played anybody worth talking about, to be honest with you. Going into Green Bay, before the mystique of Green Bay hasn't been the same in the last year and a half.
I agree.
They're somewhat overrated in my eyes because I think it may be sputtering at this time. And when you have a coach that's been there for over a decade, then it becomes stagnant, and that's what they're doing. Then they just barely beat the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco. So I look at a sense for this particular team. Remember what happened when last year when the Philadelphia Eagles went to Dallas and won in overtime. I think that can happen again because of their defense, and I think they also can make big plays with the tight end.
Look at the quarterbacks. Look at the quarterbacks. Now, Dak has played more mistake-free football than almost anyone in the league. Right. But actually, if you ask me, and it's way too early to tell who's going to be better. They both look really good. If you ask me, who's more explosive? Who do you fear more for a big play? To tell you the truth, my eyeball test so far says Carson Wentz. That's the guy I think gives me the sense that he could put points on the board fast.
I don't disagree with that, but the problem with it is this. We're talking football here. We're talking nuts and bolts. Right. You understand? It's just like, for example, Donovan. I'm covering Donovan in Philadelphia. Donovan's back there. Donovan not only can throw the ball, Donovan can run with the football. You see how big this boy is? You understand what I'm saying? I mean, it's something. They got to look at you and like, you ain't arm tackling Donovan McNabb. It's just not going to happen. Everyone knew that, so you had to send the house towards him. I'm saying that now. Juxtapose that to an offensive line in Dallas. You got 5 big boys, meat and potatoes. I mean, it's what they live for. They want the ball. They want to sit there and beat you into the ground. And then you got a young lion like Ezekiel Elliott who's saying, "Yeah, give me the ball because not only am I going to bust through these holes, but even when I don't, I'm going to make you pay for trying to tackle me." Now, I don't like, I can't even tell you how sick to my stomach I am that I have to be complimentary.
I was a little worried about that.
I'm very sick to my stomach. But let's be real about this here. We're thinking philosophically. If you're watching a team that throws the football all day long but has no running game and has no defense, you're not worried about them winning the Super Bowl. But even if your defense is suspect, but you got an offense with a beefy offensive line who loves to run the football and can beat you up, not just with one dude, but with 3 of them because of how potent their offensive line is. If you are the Philadelphia Eagles, the one time this year I have seen you go against a team who resembles that kind of team in that moment was the Redskins. Redskins never looked like that in the games prior to the Eagles, but against the Eagles, Matt Jones was running over dudes. I'm concerned about it in that regard.
Defense, I mean, I hear what you're saying, styles make fights, but what do you like, the defense or the offense? Because when you really look at it, Dallas, although the secondary's been playing very smartly so far.
Exactly.
In fact, Dallas has a middle-of-the-pack type of defense and an elite offense because Dak doesn't turn it over and the line. And
because that offensive line runs, they can run.
And the Eagles are the opposite. They have a kind of middle-of-the-pack offense and an elite defense. What do you like?
I like defense. I'm going to take Jim Schwartz over Rob Marinelli. And I don't say that because I like blitzing. If you're going to apply pressure to a quarterback, force him to get the ball out of his hands, because we know the security blanket is Cole Beasley and also, with Jason Witten. If you can force him to get the ball out quicker than usual, it works in your favor. And then that's why I lean more to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Here's a question. Can you force Dallas to do that if their running game is potent?
If you put 7, 8 in the box, now you force them to pass the ball. They're not going to run versus 8 in the box with a safety with Malcolm Jenkins sitting up in that A-gap or ready to follow Ezekiel Elliott, so it works in your favor.
And then the turnovers start to happen.
There you go.
The quarterback has to start to try
and we don't lose too many times.
Sunday Night Football going to be a great litmus test, and we want you guys to weigh in on Twitter. After Sunday's performance against the Vikings, are the Eagles legit contenders to the Cowboys? We'll share those results a little later in the show. But moving on here, gentlemen, let's focus on Bradford. He was sacked 6 times and had his first 3 turnovers this season. Mike Zimmer put some of the blame on the O-line, calling the O-line soft and the loss embarrassing. Donovan, did Sunday prove the Vikings can't win the Super Bowl with Bradford at the helm?
I won't say that. I think in a situation where you watch film, you can get guys in there or possibly add another blocker to help out. Now, who would that blocker be? That's the question that we're trying to figure out, because Kyle Rudolph struggled as well as Asada. I think when you look at what they've been doing, it's been intermediate passing game. We talk so much downfield, but it's been the intermediate passing game, and that's what makes Sam Bradford as good as he is, being able to complete 68% of his passes from 15 and under. Now, he's hitting Diggs, he's hitting Kyle Rudolph, he's hitting some of the running backs. It hasn't been the downfield throwing that we've all been looking for from a Norv Turner's offense, but they've been very effective. And that's exactly what made Philadelphia's defense so successful, from sitting on those intermediate routes. And when you do that and blitz, now he holds the football.
I got you. But going back to your point about the quality of competition that you alluded to when we were talking about the Eagles, Dallas, and all this stuff in the first segment, I'm looking at Minnesota's schedule. Tennessee, Green Bay, Carolina without Josh Norman, not the same defense they were this year. New York Giants, don't get me started. And then, of course, the Houston Texans without the man, J.J. Watt. So you take all of those things into consideration. Who did Minnesota really go up against? Then you got your offensive line here. You got Matt Khalil. He's out, torn labrum. He's out for the rest of the season. He was struggling while he was there. You got Andre Smith. He's out. So you're depleted on your offensive line. This is why I didn't have confidence in Sam Bradford. Do I think he's an upgrade from Teddy Bridgewater in terms of throwing the ball deep? Yes. Pocket passer, yes, but not when it comes to wheels. He's a stationary target. So if he is a stationary target that we're talking about, then I have to look at Sam Bradford's history. I have to look at, how fragile he appears to be. I also have to look at the requisite weapons. Kyle Rudolph is good, but at the same time, I'm not going to confuse him with Rob Gronkowski or even Jordan Reed of the Redskins. I'm not doing that. Stephon Diggs is a growing stud, but his health has been questionable. Who else you got, particularly with Adrian Peterson out? So when I look at it, you're telling me that I'm supposed to believe in Sam Bradford, who has a below 500 record, coming into the season like 25, 37, and 1 until he started winning a few games with Minnesota over the last 3 or 4 games. The guy has been fragile. He has not been reliable, even though he's had big moments. At the same time, he's had very suspect moments. He is a guy that is a complementary piece even at quarterback. Even at quarterback, if your defense is elite, he's a guy that could do some things for you.
There you go.
But if you need him to step up and come through for you, he ain't that dude. And Minnesota, at times, I believe they're not going to get blown out, because even yesterday, it was a methodical beatdown per se, but it wasn't a blowout. It's just that the defense had to continuously be on the field because the offense couldn't get anything done. I watched that game from start to finish. In the end, what it comes down to is this. Sam Bradford is decent. That's not the word you want to use for your quarterback.
So let me get this straight. The Vikings finally lose a game on the road to the team with the second best point differential by 1 point from being the first best.
Yes, sir.
With the Patriots.
Yes, sir.
In the NFL.
Yes,
you
sir.
lose that game on the road. And now all of a sudden Bradford's not good enough, and what's happening with the Vikings?
See, hold on. Just don't lie to the American public. I said that about Sam Bradford before this week.
The public will judge.
Did I not? Don't act like I'm just saying it now.
The public will judge.
I'm not saying it now. I said it this weeks ago.
So let me get this straight. Now all of a sudden you're right. Oh, it's Sam Bradford now. Yeah, I know you've been saying this about Bradford all the time.
That's all I'm asking.
And Sam Bradford has shown throughout his career, when he's healthy, to be an average-ish NFL starting quarterback, maybe a tick below average when he's healthy. Now, if you have questions about Bradford and whether he can win a Super Bowl on this Minnesota Vikings team, and their offensive line was a bit exposed, all teams have issues and weaknesses that can be exploited. No one's going undefeated, right? It doesn't happen. If you have questions about Bradford, point to the fragility. Point to the fact that he is likely to be injured more than another quarterback. But in terms of his actual production, when he's on the field, an average-ish starting NFL quarterback is a hell of a player. And you put that guy with an excellent defense, and he doesn't turn over the ball, you can win a Super Bowl. Look, what really happened to the Vikings on offense yesterday was Bradford's formula, same thing as in Dallas minus the O-line, is don't turn the ball over. He turned the ball over, and they lost. You can absolutely win a Super Bowl with this guy if he's on the field.
Are you going to sit here and co-sign with this garbage that he just said, that nonsense that he just spewed? Well, really? That average is good enough?
Let's look at the NFL right now. the performance of the quarterback. Take Tom Brady out. Take Matt Ryan out. You can even take Matthew